For you guys to just kind of be wandering around and checking out the scene right now?
Well, we're just staying here in the hotel and popped out for a second, but things, you know, feel for the moment are safe right here, but you can tell it's very dangerous out there. So just trying to see what's going on, and the storm seems to have passed, but it's still pretty violent, as you can see. So
yeah, they're saying these floodwaters could continue to rise with high tide.
Still expected to come. So
what led you all to check into this hotel? Were you trying to get away from somewhere else?
Yeah, so we're in town locally, but we just wanted to get away from any damage that could happen to the house and tornadoes, so we felt safer in the hotel here. So that's kind of why we came down.
Are you aware of the condition of your home now?
Yes, power's out, home's in good condition. And so hopefully when this all goes away, the bridge is open, we can head home.
So are you from across the bridge? Are you Jacksonville Beach? Ponte Vedra. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you've spoken with some neighbors? You feel comfortable?
Yeah. Not a lot of damage in our neighborhood, thankfully, and so we're glad about that. Yeah. So the power's still out, and so we'll go from there. Yeah,
absolutely. But here, conditions inside this hotel, even though these floodwaters are right outside the door, you feel safe here?
Yeah, I feel very safe here.
And with your boys?
These are my friends' boys.
Okay.
You guys want to say hi?
What do you guys think about this water coming up right in the middle of downtown?
Like, just different to see that the water's downtown.
Yeah, it shouldn't be there. What do you think?
It's rising.
It's crazy. I think that just about sums it up, Kate. It's crazy now, and we'll be standing by to see how this situation evolves. We've got a fellow right here who's actually carrying his dog. Thank you guys so much. Please be safe. A fellow here carrying his dog so that he doesn't wander into the water. But I mean, again, look at these folks right here, just so close to the water's edge. You wonder how long this ground will stay dry. I mean, this looks like a boat landing right in the middle of town. Water Street, I should mention, a couple blocks from here, flooded much farther up than we are here. Sir, what do you think about these conditions, seeing the middle of downtown Jacksonville like this?
Well, it's pretty amazing. I don't know.
You feel safe here?
Yeah, I feel safe. I'm good. I'm on the 12th floor. So.
Where did you come here from? I can only imagine if you're staying in a hotel in these conditions that you were trying to get out of somewhere else.
I drove up from Delray Beach, so 7 hours south of here.
Are you aware of the conditions there? Have you gotten any reports from home?
They're pretty good there, actually. I don't think they got hit that hard. It's probably worse here.
How long are you prepared to stay here, and what is that feeling?
I'm going home tomorrow. I've been up here for days now, so I'm going home tomorrow, and hopefully my house isn't flooded.
What was your reaction when you came here for safety, and then you looked out the window this morning and saw this is what's considered safety?
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought I was going to go home today, and I saw this, and I was like, well, I guess it's one more day up here for sure.
Have you checked out the roadways? Is it logistically possible to get home?
Well, I got to go south, and I don't think I can cross that bridge. I think that bridge is underwater.
Yeah, these bridges, I am getting blown over just standing next to you. Thank you for that support.
Hey, Kaylee,
these winds
if you can,
continue to pick up.
If you can, Kaylee, just stick with me just 1 second. I think we have Chad Myers, who can jump on with us right now to give us kind of a little bit of a picture of what Kaylee and all of these folks that she's running into in downtown Jacksonville, what they're experiencing and what they could be still facing, or if it's past. Chad, what do you know?
It is a flash flood emergency for Jacksonville. We have never seen levels like this in downtown Jacksonville as long as they've been keeping records, since the 1800s. So this is how bad it was. Worse than 1964, the old record, Hurricane Dora. The winds have come onshore all night long. Onshore, onshore, onshore. And what she just felt was a 54-mile-per-hour gust. But now the winds have shifted, and they are coming up from the south, pushing the St. Johns River out of the estuaries and into Jacksonville, and the water can't get out yet. So that's why the water is rising so fast where she is. Need to be careful. It's not going over the walkway. It's not going into the hotel. But certainly, flash flood emergency, this is as high as that water has ever been.
And Chad, as you said, the water can't get past Jacksonville. It's got to go into Jacksonville.
That's right. Can't go out because the wind is still kind of pushing it in there through the estuary. There's only a very small little river out through the Jacksonville and the St. Johns, and it's not big enough to let all that water out for sure.
All right, Kaylee, you heard it from Chad. You're feeling some major gusts right now, and the water is still expected to be rising for a little while now. What else are you seeing there, Kaylee? Anything else?
Well, Kate, at least the group of folks who were gathered right here, they've headed inside. Just as I've been talking to you, these winds, just like Ad was talking about, have really picked up. I'm trying to get a look a little bit farther down this Hogan Street that we're on, where, I mean, the St. James River is just flowing right down Hogan Street here. I know we've got spectators just in front of me. Hey guys, am I on Snapchat? What's happening over here? I got my glasses in the water. Why do you guys think it's a good idea to come check out the scene over here?
Same reason you do.
I live a couple blocks away. It's fine.
Okay, how's your home?
Oh, it's fine. I never lost power.
Okay.
The power company is not that far that way, so I think we're on some sort of reinforced grid.
Yeah. Well, we've heard more than 260,000 people in this area are without power, so if you still got it, you're one of the lucky ones. Let's all try to get some safe cover. Kate?
Yeah. All right, Kaylee, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Stay safe. We'll be getting back to you throughout the hour. Chad, give us a quick update, Chad, if you could, and where this is headed, just so folks know where we're going.
Yeah, all this water here in the St. Johns is now moving back out or trying to move back out. And then you see how skinny the St. Johns River is all the way out here to, this will be Jacksonville Beach, Fernandina Beach up here, the Concord d'Elegance up there every spring break that my son and I go to. But the water is funneling right in here into downtown Jacksonville. And that's where the significant flooding is happening right there at that choke point where the water just can't get out into the ocean fast enough.
That's in Florida. Savannah's feeling effects. Charleston, South Carolina feeling effects. Atlanta set to feel some effects as well. Chad sticking with it. We'll be back to this, of course. We'll continue on this as this storm slowly marches forward. This monster called Irma coming up for us. Thousands in Florida looking to get out, but Miami International Airport still completely shut down today after taking out some serious water damage. And officials say they don't know yet when they will be able to reopen it. Huge questions. As
Didn't
Irma
break the
marches
windshield
on.
of this car. We were told earlier that this is the car of a 911 dispatcher here, but you can see that branch. It snaps right there. It just missed that rear view mirror of that car, that side mirror. So they got pretty lucky. I know that's not the same for everyone in the county. This is just a first look at the damage Irma has caused the county. Now I want to show you what was outside of our window earlier today. We know this storm caused a lot of damage in the county, but we did ride it out inside safely with EMS crews. Dan Summers, the director of emergency services here, just gave us a lot of new information in a press conference. We know now the county is officially under a curfew until 6 a.m. That's for your safety. He says the roadways are absolutely not safe to navigate.
But you're much better off where you are than to attempt to leave your location and drive somewhere where the power is out. There's substantial debris on the roadways. That includes stop signs, traffic signals, power poles, signal masts, and heavy debris on the roadway.
Again, it's not really just not safe to go outside right now. Power is out in most of the county. We had a shuttle of people going to get their cars parked at the Walmart just down the street, and they said the roads are pitch black. We just saw one of the first fire trucks go out for the night, and that's even risky for them in a big truck. So if you have the urge to leave the shelter, we sympathize, but it's just not safe or smart at this time. That's what they're telling us here at the EOC. We trust these people. They helped us ride out this whole storm. They say they're doing everything they can to help people in shelters right now, get provisions, get some power. They know that it's hot and musky and dark in those places, but you are definitely safer where you are now instead of trying to navigate those roadways. So hang tight, keep being patient, and we will bring you more updates here from the EOC as we get them. For now, I'll send it back to you guys.
All right. Thank you very much, Olivia. Airbnb has expanded media for Irma videos, and he joins us with what he's found. Andrew.
Yeah, Irma is wider than the entire state. And so, like you said, I've come across some footage from all over Florida on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. Here's some of the more compelling stuff. For our listeners on the radio, imagine a revolving door in a lobby violently spinning about 5 times its normal speed, and then I slow it down here in a second, and it just shatters. The entire thing just shatters, and it just continues to spin at that same rate of speed. Very frightening to look at. Over in Miami, where they've been experiencing Irma's earliest band since yesterday, watch this tree. You're going to see it in a second, just off to the left. Just with ease falls over. Amazingly, it doesn't harm that car too badly that it lands on there. You can see the roots are not very deeply rooted. That's probably one reason why it fell over so easily. More from Miami. This is absolutely crazy. You see water up 2 to 3, possibly even 4 to 5 feet, depending upon where the ground is. I can't see from that point of view. Amazingly, it's not getting in yet, but this video did pop up earlier in the day, so we don't know what happened from there. From Brickell, this is Miami's financial center, is getting pounded. This is some flooding from that storm surge that our meteorologists have been telling you about. And finally, check out the roof of this building getting completely ripped off. It's a pretty good, it's a sizable building too, so it had to have been some strong wind. And finally, I showed you this video earlier today. Got to check it out again. A meteorologist out chasing storms in Key West, trying to measure his car wind speed, and I don't even think he needed that tool, because that wind is whipping him around, and he is doing all he can to just stay upright. And we were in the lobby during the eye wall, I should say, and it was absolutely intense. It was my first hurricane growing up in West Texas, working in Indiana. I've never seen anything like this. And like you guys said, I've now experienced my first hurricane, so this place now feels like home.
There you go,
Good.
Andrew.
Yep.
Welcome home.
Welcome home. Now, hopefully we'll find a new way to welcome people from this point forward.
I know.
But
It's got to be a nicer way.
Streets for this reason, because the wind is howling and We've been hearing from people as they walk by here. One person told me he was 40 stories up in one of these buildings yesterday, riding out the storm, and saw glass flying out of another building. I saw a person walk home who had to evacuate because the water got into the ground level of his building. He had a clean shirt. He went home to get a clean shirt because the place he's staying is so cold. He needed long sleeves, and mostly people here just grateful it is all over, and they're trying to get a sense of how long it will take to get back up on their feet right now, enjoying the sun here in Miami today, a welcome sight after all these days. Let's go over to the other coast right now. Diane Gallagher is in Bradenton, Florida. And Diane, really today is about assessing the damage, finding out what was done and what is needed.
That's right, John. And, you know, we have to do the caveat here that everybody here on the West Coast instantly started preparing for the worst. So seeing any of the damage whatsoever, maybe a little less than they were expecting. And I actually was just talking to Gary here, who has yet to actually be in your own home to see it. But your neighbors' houses are just destroyed.
Yes, they are. I just went into this house, and the inside is fine. It's just the porch that was added to the mobile home that's torn up on this one. I haven't seen the others, but there is a lot of damage.
Were you expecting to come home and see these homes like this, or?
I was actually expecting to come home and see nothing. I thought it would all be torn up. So I guess they always say it, we bit a bullet, so yeah.
Thank you so much, Gary. I'm going to let you go ahead and look at your own home if you want to, so you can check it out there. Good luck, and I hope everything's all right. So I want to see, let's show you the rest of this place here. And really across the entire area in Bradenton, John, we've seen various types, mostly trees down, but you can see roofs and carports. A lot of this siding has just been ripped off here, and the winds are starting to kick up again. I can feel and hear it banging around here. Gary had just said to me that he actually was afraid. See, I'm losing my hat at this point, but he's actually afraid that this stuff may not be over. We may see more of it rip. And then you come to things like this. Now, we knocked on this door at this home to see if anyone was here, but there is not much left. There's broken glass. This used to be a sunport. What's really interesting is that some of the furniture has yet to move, and yet this entire house has just been ripped off the frame. It looks almost like a can opener came and just opened up this house here. The car is still there. Again, we knocked on the door to see if anyone was home. This is a senior community. This is a 55 and older community. The hope is that, again, nobody was home. Gary said that he left. Many people evacuated because they are surrounded by water right across. I can see here, there's a bay that is coming in, white caps on it. So they were nervous. But to come in here, see something like this, even if you were expecting to come home to nothing, is a bit astounding, especially when most people here are coming home and not seeing much damage whatsoever. So, John, we're still out here looking. The fire department has been out. We've seen trees blocking roadways with live wires, and power is out in almost half of Manatee County. Of course, almost 5 million people have power in Florida. But it really is starting to hit that while they did dodge, as Gary said, a bullet here, it seems, there is still a lot of damage, and the wind is still picking up. So we'll probably see some more out here in this particular neighborhood.
All right, Diana Gallagher in Bradenton, Florida right now. People returning home, thrilled to see that maybe the damage wasn't as bad as they feared. I want to go to Fort Myers right now. Joining us on the phone is Will Hutt, who chose to ride out the storm in that city where there were a lot of evacuations, mandatory evacuations in some zones. Will, let's start with the now and work backwards. Give me a sense of how you are right now and what you see outside your window. How much damage is there?
Well, for us, we got lucky. We just lost some shingles and some screens from our back porch, as well as the hurricane shutters blew off on some of the windows. The water has drained that was out in the street, but mostly what I see when I look down the street is a lot of large trees and a lot of debris from the landscaping. Some trees were just pulled out from the roots, and they're just laying, some on top of cars, some in the street. But overall, Our neighborhood really did well compared to some of the others that I drove around to that have a lot more flooding than we did.
Well, look, the trees can be moved, the shingles can be replaced. You cannot be replaced. So we're thrilled that you made it through it. Describe what it was like during those hours that the storm was hitting. And the hurricane shutters. The hurricane shutters are there to protect the windows from blowing out or flying through. When the hurricane shutters flew off, what was that like?
Well, I should say first that we weren't being defiant. Like, we're not leaving, we're not evacuating. That wasn't our intention. But because the storm was so big and nobody really knew where it was going, originally it was heading over to the East Coast, Miami, Fort Lauderdale. Then it kind of shifted to the center of the state, which a lot of people started heading up north, which, you know, it didn't make sense because if it kept going northwest, then where were they going to go? So that's why we kind of ultimately decided to stay. Plus, we have 2 really big dogs. So I just wanted to put that out there. We weren't like, you know, diehards, we're not leaving kind of thing. We just had to make the best decision. And our house has gone through a different hurricane before, and it really held up well. As far as the shutters went, we did hear some loud noises and everything. We didn't actually realize that was on the back of the house, that some of them have actually really blew off. Not really sure how that happened because they're in the pool right now. But yeah, at one point, the winds got really, really bad. It was very loud. You hear that whistle that you hear people talk about during other types of storms. And it was just pretty incredible to see what was going on outside. We kept looking out back because we have a lake. We're not actually on the river, but the river is a few blocks back. So our lake is, right. We kept watching it just to see if it would, you know, come up higher because they kept saying storm surge, and nothing was happening, you know, maybe a little bit, a few inches higher. But I happened to look out the front window because we had our cars blocking the front windows, kind of for, you know, more wind protection. And I just happened to look out the window, and the street was covered in water up to our garage. And at that point, we made the decision that we needed to go. We did have a plan B, and that was to go over our friend Deirdre's house, who lives just a block and a half over. And she has a 2-story that was just built last year, and it was really, you know, built to hold up to all kinds of storms.
Well, we are glad you had friends. Sticking together is the most important thing you can do if you decide to stick around. Will Hunt, great to have you with us. Congratulations on making it through, and good luck in the days ahead, because this is going to take patience for everybody. Will Hunt. All right, Florida waking up today, getting out. You can see people on the streets just learning now the destruction, what was left behind by Hurricane Irma, and now Tropical Storm Irma. Is not done yet, moving up the coast. CNN Special Live coverage.
And their directions in terms of protecting your life.
And Jamie, what does it mean to break records that we're expected to be seeing or have already been broken in places like Jacksonville? Chad Meyer says the storm surge in Jacksonville is breaking all sorts of records. The water surge in the St. Johns River is supposed to be the highest water surge since 1846. What does it mean to break a record like that?
So just like meteorological records where you keep over time, you know, high temperatures and low temperatures, and you have record highs and record lows, we also keep historical accounts of water levels, or how high water levels are measured within the given areas. And what that means is this particular storm is going higher than past flood events.
And in terms of storm surge, since this is an area where you are an expert on, where are you most concerned about storm surge next? I mean, we're seeing some effects in Charleston, South Carolina, winds whipping there. We're seeing, should Savannah be worried? Where are you watching?
So basically from points from Jacksonville northward through central South Carolina, the coastal regions, including Charleston, the worst is yet to be felt. So water levels are already starting to rise in Georgia and South Carolina. They'll probably continue to rise through this afternoon and evening. So that's sort of the next area working its way up the coast.
And of course, dangerous winds, Jamie, is something that folks easily understand, right? But can you explain, please, just one more time, what storm surge is, why it can be so dangerous?
So basically what happens is when you have a big storm, be it a hurricane or a winter storm, and you have strong winds, and the winds press across the ocean and push it towards the land. As water hits the land, it has nowhere to go but up and over the land and inundate or wet normally dry areas.
Jamie Rome, an expert on this, watching this with us from the National Hurricane Center. Jamie, I really appreciate you jumping on our special coverage of Irma, the destruction that she's left in her path, where she is headed now as a tropical storm. Our special coverage continues ahead.
We will pass that information along. Guys, back to you.
All right, Olivia, thank you for that. We're starting to get an idea of some of the damage outside and now inside in Naples. Wink News anchor Channing Frampton is in Naples.
Yeah, the damage on the outside of the hotel and in the lobby area is pretty superficial, but if you go behind the scenes, it's actually a much different picture. Go through these doors, walk through this hallway, take a look at the floor. You can see the ceiling tiles that fell down. The staff was actually proactive. They put these trash cans in place to collect the water, which was raining down from the ceiling during the storm because the winds were so fierce and the rain was so heavy that the roof and the building, it was just too much to handle. I mean, you've got this major hurricane. Of course, you're going to have a few issues. And then back the hallway here, the water was dripping down through. This is a hallway that the staff had to get through to get to a ballroom where they were taking shelter. And the leaders here at the hotel actually made the decision to move the people who were staying in this ballroom to the upper floors during the height of the storm because they were worried about water coming down and getting them wet, and who knows what could have happened. But they are all safe. This ballroom is intact. We just have a little bit of water now to clean up here, and they say that that's one of their top priorities, is getting this water cleaned up. And I asked the general manager what he thought of the drill that they had in place to make sure that everybody was kept safe. Listen to what he said.
We did really well here. We figured out what could go wrong and had backup plans, and we actually drilled it with all our employees. And that's really helped us through the storm.
Unfortunately, damage like you're seeing here, that the ceiling and the wires and the tiles that fell down, it's relatively isolated from what we can tell. So it's not going to be major cleanup, but it's going to be cleanup. It's going to take some time. It's going to take patience. And I'm sure it's something that a lot of people across Southwest Florida are preparing for in the days and the weeks ahead. In North Naples, Channing Frampton, Wink News Now.
All right. Thank you very much, Channing.
Yeah, he's right about that. Wink News reporter Kim Powell's in a Fort Myers neighborhood where it looks like some houses there have been damaged. She filed this story a little while ago.
When we were sitting inside, hunkering down during the storm, I heard a certain shout, and I knew that was my fence. These fences just did not make it. I'm glad I moved my stuff inside. I had a hammock out here, I had a barbecue, had on-deck chairs. Most of the stuff is inside, stuff is in the garage, but I'm definitely glad that this really got it. This fence definitely fell down. Looks like it goes all the way through, so it goes to 1, 2, 3, 4 houses at least. No, not yet. Really?
Yeah, we got a nice tree coming down the bedroom.
Oh, that's not. Where are you? What unit are you? There's that tree out. We passed this earlier. Looks like it took some heat there. Looks like some people lost part of their roofing. Yeah, looks like same thing we've been seeing. A lot of down fences. How's it going? What do we got going on? Drains clogged?
Yeah. Babe, look at those coming.
There you go.
for the storm. Just stay there. Don't.
Is this a drain?
Yep.
What is it? Oh, that's just a piece of lumber. Don't worry.
It's moving.
John Berman back in Miami. I'm standing in what was a mandatory evacuation zone, which did see enormous storm surge. Obviously, people coming back home right now to check out what they can. Another mandatory evacuation zone was Miami Beach, North Miami Beach. Joining me now is Major Richard Rand of the North Miami Beach Police Department. Major, first of all, you were a voice of incredible calm yesterday when we were in the midst of this storm getting pounded hour after hour. So thank you for that. And now I've learned it wasn't just a calm voice. You have, a spine of steel. Your department did a rescue in the middle of the storm for a woman and a child in dire need. Explain what happened.
Sure. We got a call yesterday from a concerned neighbor about some floodwaters coming into a home. The floodwaters were about 3 feet high and rising quickly.
It could be the costliest, but also the most damaging in U.S. history.
We are dealing with this hurricane that is unprecedented in a lot of areas. And even if it gets downgraded to a Category 4, it's still going to have the potential to bring devastating storm surge, devastating flooding, and very, very strong winds that could knock down buildings in South Florida.
Police officers, firefighters, and ambulances will not come to help you when the winds get too intense.
Now, to give you a better idea of just how dangerous and destructive this storm is and could be, let's take a look at a couple of headlines. USA Today, Hurricane Irma has the potential of affecting every major city in the state of Florida. The New York Post, Hurricane Irma is the size of Texas. The Miami Herald, 2 South Florida nuclear power plants lie in Irma's path. Are they ready? And the Washington Post, U.S. military preparations for Hurricane Irma now include 4 Navy ships and thousands of troops. And the Daily Beast, Hurricane Irma, look at this, is stronger than all of 2017's other 8 Atlantic storms combined.
The county ran out of bags to store all the sand in. Early this morning, they've handed out 20,000 so far.
So here is the way the storm looks in terms of its size. It has been growing. It's been out there for a long time, and it's been very, very intense for a long time, and it's pushing a lot of water with it. So the forecast in the Turks and Caicos was for a storm surge of up to 20 feet, which means that it's like halfway up the ceiling and out of camera range here. And that moving with current, too, not just the water coming up. It's rushing in, and then it's going to slowly recede after it passes, or may rush back the other way, but it's very, very deadly.
And tonight, it's a race to outrun Irma, the most powerful hurricane ever recorded in the Atlantic. The fury of this Category 5 storm was seen in the Caribbean, where at least 10 people were killed when Irma tore through there. Here in Florida, more than 1 million live in mandatory evacuation zones, and folks along the Georgia coast have also been ordered to leave.
More now on the threat to Florida. 180-mile-an-hour winds seriously threaten buildings across Florida, and we've already seen the destruction they've caused in Barbuda and St. Martin. Now, officials and residents closely watching high-rise buildings and construction cranes along the coast. Our chief national correspondent, Tom Yamas, is in Miami. Good morning, Tom.
George, good morning to you. Just behind me, you can see one section of Miami's beautiful glass-filled skyline. Now, that glass is one concern, but the other big concern, take a look at this angle from this same balcony. Those construction cranes there in the distance. There's 20 to 25 of them. And now officials here in Miami are advising anyone who lives in a building next to a crane to get out.
This morning, Hurricane Irma causing a sky-high scare for some in South Florida. In downtown Miami, a combination of condo canyons and massive construction cranes leading to new warnings. Brickell resident Jonathan Ayal wrote out Hurricane Wilma on the 18th floor of his building.
Panes of glass that were probably 40 to 50 sections at a time got sucked out and were floating like paper in the air, and then were just crashed to the ground.
We start off tonight with the most potent Atlantic Ocean hurricane on record, according to the National Hurricane Center. At least 7 people have died so far. Whole islands are ravaged. Hundreds of thousands are without power tonight. And the worst could be yet to come as Irma bears down on the heavily populated U.S. Southeast. We begin tonight with senior correspondent Adam Housley on Key Largo in the direct path right now. Good evening, Adam.
Good evening, Brett. With the Florida Keys bracing for that direct hit, many who've never evacuated here before have packed up and got out.
I couldn't even pack nothing. I have the clothes on my back. That's it.
Time is short before Irma makes its unwelcome advance, with the first stop expecting to be in the Florida Keys. And here, effects could be felt as early as Friday night.
There will be a handful of people that will be staying here. So we'll see what happens. If it gets real bad, then we'll take off.
Mandatory evacuations already in place for the Keys and much of South Florida.
If you're in the Keys and still home, leave and get out. We can't save you after the storm starts.
But not everyone is ready to get out just yet.
We're staying here. We're going to a friend's house. Gonna ride it out. Hopefully we're okay.
Tens of thousands already heeding the advice, departing by air, boat, and car. Roads north and west jammed with traffic and snaking lines for gas, food, and supplies, leading to reports of shortages and price gouging. Police even escorting fuel supply trucks to critical areas in need of fuel.
We got 4 vehicles and they're all full. So we got that gas for the generators. We got 4 generators. So am I scared? Yeah.
The governor of Florida plans to activate 7,000 National Guard troops, and the president promising the federal response will be swift.
We are very well covered from the standpoint of bravery and talent. We have tremendous people there representing us.
Last-minute preparations are everywhere. Businesses and homes boarded up, and armies of volunteers filling sandbags, especially around Miami, where many forecasts say Irma is targeted.
I have hotel rooms rented in Orlando. I just don't know if I'm going up there or not, but my wife says I am.
Any doubts about this hurricane's power? Just ask residents of the Eastern Caribbean, Hispaniola, and Puerto Rico, where at least 70% of the island is without power, and some areas could remain that way for months.
I'm on 441, which is the Aguada Pico de Piedra Strip. It's really windy. It's actually rocking my car.
Sustained winds of 180 miles per hour producing massive storm surge, severe flooding, and property damage. States emergencies declared in the Carolinas and Georgia, anticipating the hurricane could trundle up the East Coast.
Sustained winds are 175 miles an hour. Video from the space station shows Irma's size. Hurricane-force winds extend 70 miles from its center. We want to check in with Lonnie Quinn, chief weathercaster at our New York station WCBS. Lonnie, the forecast is changing.
It is. The new information pushes things a little bit more to the west, and we talk about this being an ominous turn. Well, let's get right to it. We haven't actually begun the turn yet, but there's a picture of Irma. It's enormous. You could fit Texas inside of that. The new forecast cone from the National Hurricane Center. Let's display that for you because we're in very much in agreement. It's going to continue this trek to the west-northwest. Here's where it becomes a little iffy, though. This is the iffy part. When does it start this turn to the north? And you got to notice here, between these two yellow lines, anything is at play. So the West Coast, East Coast of Florida, both a possibility. Let me show you one model that we tend to look at pretty heavily these days because it's been performing so well. The European, okay? This, the National Hurricane Center's forecast, this right there on the west coast of Florida is where the European model puts the storm. But even they have been waffling because look at where this was earlier today. 12 hours ago, it was an East Coast storm with the eye right over Miami Beach.
That's what we're looking at, a very intense hurricane for the area. There's a look at the visible satellite imagery, losing our light of the day, but you can see what they call a stadium effect as the shadows come across the eye itself. A very large geographical tropical system. So again, we'll continue to watch the movement of this system, but this is the official track in 175-mile-per-hour winds. You can see that movement to the northwest, northwest. Friday at 2 p.m. is a Category 5 north of the Dominican Republic. A Category 4 storm Saturday early in the day, and then Saturday in the afternoon with 140-mile-per-hour winds. There you see the shift, slight shift to the west. Probably as a nod to the European computer model. Have not yet read the discussion from the National Hurricane Center, but you could see that probably is what they were thinking at the moment, and then moving that cone of air all the way up into sections of the Carolinas. Now, mind you can see the temperature in that cone of air. We've been stressing over and over again. Look at the white cone, not the center path or where those icons are moving, because this can all change. If this would shift a little farther to the west, that would mean obviously stronger winds for inland counties, especially places like Polk and Highlands County. But you can see overall, the spaghetti models are still trending to the east, and we'll see if that 12Z run from the Euro was an outlier and whether that trend will continue. It's watching the trend. That's why it's good to look at all the computer models at once to see what they're all thinking.
Scary stuff. Governor Rick Scott warning Floridians to get out while they still can.
You can see hurricane conditions have arrived. We're currently in that red blob that's coming. It's going just to our north, but we're going to catch the tail end of it. These winds have just dramatically picked up. There's the edge of the eye forward there.